before the age of Eternia's champions, before the castle Grayskull's stones were touched by time, before the gods shaped the stars into their destined paths, there existed a force born not from cosmic energy or divine intention, but from something far more volatile, the hatred and sorrow of an entire exterminated race. From the ashes of that annihilated people, a single monstrous entity was formed, a creature that breathed fury and walked upon the broken remnants of a forgotten world. Its name echoed like the scream of millions, Mangog. Mangog's origin was a paradox of existence. He was not born, nor created. He simply coalesced from the collective anguish of billions who were once proud warriors. Their pain became his flesh, their wrath his blood, and their thirst for vengeance his eternal purpose. Imprisoned by the gods who feared what he represented, Mangog was sealed away for ages beyond counting. Chains forged from runic metal, incantations layered upon incantations, and cosmic locks guarded by divine oath. All were put in place to ensure Mangog would never walk free again. But hatred has a way of surviving every cage. On Eternia, the fabric of reality pulsed, as if struck by an unseen hammer. King Randor's advisors had sensed it first, a shift in the cosmic alignment. The sorceress felt it in the air, a taste of bitterness, like ancient smoke drifting through time. Prophecies which had remained dormant for centuries began to whisper in her dreams. He-Man, protector of Eternia, felt the disturbance as a pressure in the power sword itself. The blade vibrated with unease, and in its reflection he saw a towering silhouette, horned and monstrous, clawing at the walls of its own prison. The warning came too late. In the deepest chambers beneath Castle Grayskull, ancient seals trembled. The chains that bound Mangog cracked, one link at a time, resonating through the cosmic sectors like thunder. A tremor spread across the celestial plains, causing rifts of golden and crimson energy to swirl across Eternia's skies. The sorceress stood on the balcony, her eyes glowing with fear she had not felt since the rise of Hordak. She whispered a single name, Mangog. Lightning ripped the horizon as space itself ruptured. A sound, like the roar of a collapsing star, echoed across Eternia. From the tear in reality emerged Mangog, massive, grotesque, a living embodiment of fury. Every step he took shattered stone. His presence was overwhelming, like being caught beneath an avalanche of hatred. His eyes burned like molten suns, and his body pulsed with the strength of billions. Mangog was not merely powerful, he was unstoppable, for he carried within him the hatred of his entire race. Eternia shook under his weight. Villages trembled, mountains cracked, and even the heavens themselves darkened as Mangog inhaled deeply, drawing in the energy of cosmic fear. His roar traveled across the planet, sending beasts fleeing into the dark forests and rattling the gates of Grayskull. He-Man, answering the sorceress's urgent call, arrived on Battlecat. The mighty green and orange steed sensed danger long before they reached the heart of the disturbance. As He-Man leaped down, gripping the power sword, he surveyed the destruction, the shattered landscape, the molten fissures, the silence after devastation. "What is this?" he asked, though he already knew the answer in his bones. "A being older than Eternia itself," the sorceress replied, her voice trembling. "Mangog, the sum of 1 billion souls who perished in divine war. His hatred has returned to claim vengeance upon all who would stand in his way. And he has sensed the power of Grayskull." He-Man tightened his grip. "Then he comes for me." "No," she said. "He comes for everything." For a rare moment, He-Man felt uncertainty, not fear, but awareness. Mangog was unlike Skeletor, Hordak, or any enemy he had faced. This was not a villain driven by personal ambition or hunger for power. This was pain incarnate, hatred magnified into physical form. No negotiation, no reasoning, no mercy. Mangog's colossal form appeared on the horizon, a moving storm of rage. His fists could crush mountains. His roar could break continents. Each footstep left craters in the earth. He approached with relentless determination, ripping apart anything in his path, trees Trees, hills, remnants of old battlegrounds. Every movement was infused with the anguish of his race, a power so ancient it made Eternia tremble. He-Man activated the full strength of the Power of Grayskull, light erupting around him in radiant arcs. The raw energy flowed through his muscles, his heartbeat thundering in resonance with the cosmos. Battlecat growled, ready but wary. As Mangog halted his march a few hundred meters away, the ground shook violently. He-Man stood firm as the monster's shadow swallowed him. Their eyes locked, one representing guardianship, the other representing vengeance. Mangog spoke, his voice like earthquakes grinding against each other. "I smell the power that defied gods. I smell Grayskull." He-Man raised the power sword high. "If you threaten Eternia, you answer to me." Mangog laughed, a horrific rumbling sound that fractured the air. "Then you will fall first." The instant Mangog charged, the land beneath him shattered like fragile glass. He-Man braced himself, planting his boots deep into the earth as the monstrous force collided with him. The impact sent a shockwave rolling across the plains, flattening trees and uprooting ancient stones. Battlecat leaped aside, growling fiercely as the shockwave threw dust and debris into the air. He-Man's arms trembled under the sheer power transmitted through his power sword. Mangog's claws slammed against the blade, sparks erupting from the collision. For a moment, the two forces, one driven by righteous power, the other by unrelenting hatred, locked each other in a devastating stalemate. He-Man gritted his teeth, muscles bulging as he pushed Mangog back a few steps. "I will not let you destroy Eternia," he shouted. Mangog's reply came in the form of a thunderous laugh. "Eternia will be reduced to ash beneath my wrath." The creature's eyes glowed an incandescent red as he swung one massive arm toward He-Man's chest. He-Man ducked, rolling beneath the attack and countering with a powerful thrust of the sword. The blade slashed across Mangog's torso, leaving a steaming gash. But instead of weakening, Mangog roared in rage, the wound sealing almost immediately. The force of billions burned inside him, knitting his flesh faster than He-Man could cut. He-Man leapt back, analyzing the situation. Mangog's power was not physical alone. It was metaphysical, fueled by an endless reservoir of anguish. Normal attacks did little to reduce his strength. He needed something more. Mangog stomped the ground again, sending a fissure racing toward He-Man. The champion jumped high, flipping through the air as the earth split beneath him. He landed atop a large boulder, but Mangog's enormous hand shattered it with a single blow, forcing He-Man to leap back as fragments exploded in all directions. The sorceress appeared above them in a shimmer of light, projecting her astral form. "He-Man, his strength grows with his anger. Do not feed his fury." He-Man understood, but Mangog's rage was unending. Even blocking his attacks fed the creature's destructive momentum. Mangog seized a massive chunk of rock and hurled it toward He-Man. The champion met it with the full force of Grayskull, slicing the boulder clean through. But before he could recover, Mangog barreled into him, knocking him off his feet. He-Man crashed into the cracked earth, the impact sending a ripple of pain through his body. Before he could stand, Mangog snatched He-Man by the waist and lifted him into the air. "Feel the power of 1,000,000,000 souls." Mangog roared, slamming He-Man into the ground with terrifying strength. The ground cratered beneath the blow. Dust ballooned upward, obscuring everything. He-Man's vision blurred. For a moment, the roar of hatred drowned out all else. But then, deep inside the pain, he reached for something intangible, the connection to Grayskull, to the ancient power that flowed through him. He whispered through clenched teeth, "I have the power." A surge of radiant energy burst outward from his body, engulfing both himself and Mangog. Mangog staggered back, momentarily blinded. Seizing the opportunity, He-Man shot upward like a lightning bolt, spinning through the air and driving a powerful kick into Mangog's jaw. The colossal creature reeled, crashing into a cliff face that shattered around him like brittle clay. He-Man landed lightly, lifting the power sword high. Golden energy spiraled around the blade, growing brighter with each heartbeat. By the power of Grayskull, be gone! He launched himself forward at unimaginable speed, becoming a streak of golden brilliance. Mangog roared and swung both arms wide, meeting the attack head-on. Their collision erupted in a shockwave that split the sky, tearing the clouds apart and sending lightning surging in every direction. He-Man channeled everything, every ounce of strength, every spark of courage, every fragment of the power of Grayskull, into one mighty strike. The sword sang as it cut through Mangog's hardened hide, slicing deep into the creature's chest. For the first time, Mangog staggered. He-Man pressed on, slicing again and again, each strike infused with divine power. Mangog swung desperately, but He-Man weaved through every blow, his movements a blur of controlled fury. The golden aura around him intensified, forming a blazing halo that forced Mangog back. With a roar, He-Man drove the sword into Mangog's core. A burst of white-hot light erupted, blasting outward like a miniature sun. Mangog screamed, a horrific, multi-layered cry that echoed the dying anguish of a billion souls. His body began to unravel, threads of cosmic hatred peeling away like smoke in the wind. No, I will not be caged again, Mangog bellowed, clawing at the disintegration overtaking him. He-Man held the sword steady, channeling all his will into the blow. It's over, Mangog. The light intensified until nothing could be seen but brilliance. Mangog's form dissolved into a swirling vortex of fading energy, anger dispersing, finally freed, no longer bound into monstrous shape. The earth trembled one last time. Then silence. When the light cleared, He-Man stood alone amidst a vast crater, breathing heavily. The power sword glowed faintly, its energy nearly spent. The sorceress materialized beside him, her face filled with solemn relief. You have done it. Mangog is defeated. He-Man looked out at the horizon, the weight of the battle settling in his bones. The hatred of a billion souls, finally at rest.